Access. I'm your host, Alexis Craighead. We have more spring football practice for you this week. Rachel, David, and I got the chance to talk to some players and coaches after practice, Tuesday and Thursday.
We watch our defense, and I got great respect for, obviously, our defense. And you watch how they start practice. They do a pursuit drill, and there's guys flying around like no other. And just like I said, our mindset is we've got to be the team that plays full speed all the time, the team that's relentless and tough whenever things get hard. We got to reduce the turnovers. We got to execute better, and if we consistently play hard, tough, and fast, and don't turn the ball over, we're going to win. And we've failed at times in both areas, and I've got for the first time, like I've said in many interviews, we see the light is at the end of the tunnel finally as a staff. And that tunnel's been dark and fighting through to get to where we want to be, and we see it. And it's exciting to see. Our guys have bought in 100%. They're trying to hold each other accountable, and we're in March, I get that, but I feel for the first time there's light at the end of the tunnel.
With how young you
time, Aaron Moorhead last year was trying to get. We were going to play three. We were originally going to try to play three freshman wideouts. We got to two, and we were just trying to get them on the field and get them where to go. And I did the same thing with the quarterback. There was fresh new faces in the offensive line, and now it's time to get the details right. It's time to play really, really hard. It's time to get on the right number, Cam, and drive your feet and block the perimeter the way that we're supposed to block. It's time for Bucky Hodges, believe it or not, everyone says how great he is in this. It's time for him to take over and pay attention to the details. If we do that, we've got a chance. And so we're making it a huge, huge emphasis to play really hard, understand the details, and do your job the way you're supposed to do it, period.
We're looking at a couple different things. We might change it again. We had I'm trying to think, it was Stroman might have went down with a hamstring. So we're just trying to look at some different people. We looked at Chuck Clark. He's played a little safety today, but he's probably a number one kind of corner guy too. So we're putting him there. We're looking at a couple guys at safety spot, like we're looking at Riley a little bit now at our free, and just we're toying around with some people back there, finding out where they may fit best, for our scheme, and it allows us to get some other guys, some other work too, with maybe at corner, but we may move back depending on what our status is with the injuries and whatnot there. But we're just looking at different people. Tori and I talked about it. My biggest concern at free, Chuck would be a great free. Torian really feels like we need him working at corner right now. We were looking at Rivas and Desmond Fry, but our free needs to be a guy that can run vertical a little bit, so that needs to be more of a corner type guy. So we're looking at Riley a little bit, at that spot, and so we'll see. He's done a pretty good job the first couple of days.
As a whole group, they're totally bought into what we want to do. I think Wade's the only senior we got, but Wade's trying to lead. John McLaughlin's vocal. White is led by example. Augie's a vocal guy at times, and Eric Gallo is the most, I ain't gonna say the most consistent worker, but he is. He's really worked consistent this spring so far. And so I think that's a good group. You just gotta, to have that continuity and those guys playing together, trusting each other, and when one guy's down a little bit, the other guys pick him up is very important. Eric Gallo is gonna be a really good center. He's a tough kid. He does everything we ask. He knows the calls, and he really, really works at it. And I'm impressed with him. Need to get Kyle Chung back healthy. I think he'll be a factor there. And then we got some young kids that we're working and see if they can develop. Got to snap the ball first, though.
I still feel new to the O-line aspect, but a part of this team, I feel like a senior. I know I've only been here for 2 years, but I felt like with the relationships I've made in this team, there's a lot of respect, mutual respect, and it's really good. I like this team, and they view me as a leader and a senior, so I respect him for that.
After our lifting in the weight room, made an emphasis to get some snaps after each workout. And me and Mike got together, and Ford and Motley, the other quarterbacks, Durkin, and just got a feel for being under center, being in shotgun, stuff like that.
You know, we're going to do things where, you know, off the field where we talk about everything besides football, just to try to develop a relationship amongst each other so they can get to know me, I can get to know them. So when I'm yelling at them or trying to get the most out of them out on the field, that they understand that I still care about them, but I want them to be the best.
Just lack of.
We're working on that right now. I think guys are starting to gain some confidence. Some guys that didn't play a whole lot last year, guys that redshirted, they're starting to learn the offense and get out there and get full speed live reps. So that's what we're evaluating right now, trying to figure out who's going to be a guy that can step in and fill a role and be the next guy up.
Anybody? I like him a lot. You know, he's came with an attitude, with a chip on his shoulder, and it kind of reminds me of myself and the rest of us receivers. We've been underrated. When you think about Virginia Tech, most people think about DBU. So we want to try to change that.
Getting bigger does help, and also I think it improves your mindset. If you go out and you don't look as big as, you know, the defenders, then maybe you may have some doubt in your mind. But if, you know, you've been lifting weights with the guys on the team who are big, then it definitely helps with the 1-2 and kind of makes you feel like you belong out there and like you can do it. It was, I kind of want to say tough, but, you know, you come into college, you know, choosing what school you want to go to, knowing that there could be a coaching change at some point. So you try not to get too attached, but, I mean, you know, it's a business. So Coach Moorhead did what was best for his family, and Virginia Tech picked the best candidate that they thought, you know, would help take the program to a new level. So, you know, I think it's working out for the better right now.
You know, I learned a lot last year from going against our first defense every practice. It kind of gave me something to look forward to this spring. So, you know, it's kind of like an ordinary look, and I'm kind of used to seeing it from last year. Anybody will be eager, but, you know, we have a lot of great receivers, and, you know, it's up to the coaches. But as in me, I really can't speak on me because it's kind of too early, but I do look to go on the field this year.
So we're just planning for a big season coming up, so we're working hard each day. Today's practice was great, competing out there, you know, great weather, so I loved it. Yeah, it's great reps at D-tackle. You know, we got Steve, Vinny, they came a long way. Me and Nigel, Woody, you know, teaching everybody each rep and learning. Yash and everybody's coming up, so our D-line's pretty good.
I think it's a pretty cool experience. It's like time management and stuff. Like, it really gets to me now because, like, in high school everything was planned out, but like now it's different. Yeah.
More independent?
Oh yeah, definitely more independent. Yeah. And like living with my roommate and stuff, Carson Light, and like me and him like both like always talk about like things that happen during the day and stuff. So yeah, things like that.
It's a great family-oriented place. That's why I chose this place. That's why I chose to come here. I mean, the game speed and everything, but I mean, you kind of get adjusted to that. It comes natural.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at Bedside.
So, once again, we have a slim staff in the studio this week. And instead of R&R, you will all get the joy of experiencing A&R. I will be joining Russell this week to talk about what has been happening in Hokie sports. So Russell, let's start with football. What do you think about spring practice so far?
Well, the QB competition, which has been an open competition, has taken an interesting turn in the past couple of days because Michael Brewer has missed a couple practices with a back injury. So I think that's going to set him back in trying to win that starting position. But in the end, I see him still being our starter for our first game against Ohio State, although we'll definitely still see Brendan Motley. And if Brewer has a couple of his Brewer-esque games this season, then I wouldn't be surprised to see Dwayne Lawson come in, who's our highly touted new recruit, and see what he can do as a freshman.
Well, I'm definitely all pro Motley. I think we need to get a young guy out there, give him more experience, because that's the problem we've seen with our football team. We rely on one quarterback so much that when it's time for the backup to come in, they don't know how to produce because they never get a chance to play. And so I think when Motley came in last season, he did some really good things. Before he hurt his toe, I think it was, he was doing very well. And so, I mean, of course you never want to see a teammate go down, but this gives Motley a chance to kind of work out and get in there and get some good reps.
Yeah, I mean, Brewer and Motley are both listed the same on the depth chart,
Yeah.
so it's really up in the air. So I'm really excited to see who can kind of take that next step this spring and put themselves in the starting role for the fall.
Definitely. What else are we looking at offensively?
The receivers are actually a really interesting thing to watch this spring. Last year we had some great production from true freshmen Cam Phillips and Isaiah Ford, who are both phenomenal, and I think they'll only improve this year. But our offensive coordinator, Scott Loeffler, actually said that we should look out for Jalen Bradshaw, who was a freshman in the same class with Cam and Isaiah, but he hurt himself last summer during practice, so he didn't get to play this past season, but he should make a big impact this season. He's number 39, so watch out for him.
Yeah, definitely. When we did some interviews at practice the other day, Loeffler was saying like Bradshaw was definitely a contender last season, but his injury kind of messed him up. So he seems like he's ready to play. I mean, I'm sure it's a little different for the guys with the new coach coming in, working with the new receiver coach. But from what I hear, he's been working well with them, and everyone's kind of on board, and it looks like we might have some good receivers out there.
Yeah, Zom Burden, the new receiver coach, he came in and he wasted no time just getting on the guys and showing them film of mistakes where they missed pass blocks or missed assignments or opportunities they could have had. So I think they'll definitely improve this season. Ford and Cam both put on 8 pounds from strength and conditioning, so they're stronger, better receivers, and obviously very skilled.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Now, defensively, we've got a lot of injuries going on. I know in practice, Kendall's still not practicing for the spring, Kendall Fuller, and so some of the young guys are out there getting reps. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's good for them to get experience, but in the end, even with the injuries, we're always going to be a strong defensive
Absolutely.
DBU. I mean,
DBU.
Yeah. So I'm not really worried about our defensive backs. I'm a little more worried about safety. I'm interested to see, we might move some cornerbacks over to play the safety role. I'm not really sure what we'll do there.
Yeah, and talking to, again, when we were in interviews, talking to Bud, he sounds like there's just a lot of movement going on, seeing who can fit where and what might just work out, kind of trying to fit the pieces of the puzzles together. But I feel like defense is never really a real issue for us. Like, we have some problems every so often, and, you know, it's not 100%, but defense, we're always strong. It's offense that you never know what you're going to get. So that should be the struggle. And then in terms of running backs, we had a guy, was it Trayvon McMillan? He was a quarterback in high school, but he switched to running back. He's a young guy. So I think, you know, between him, Trey Edmonds, J.C. Coleman, it'll be a good battle out there to see who we're going to have as our starting running back. Trey's coming back from injury. You know, he didn't really get to play a whole lot last season. As soon as he healed from his leg, it was a shoulder that messed up. So I think it'll be a good battle between him and J.C.
I think it will definitely be a good battle, interesting to watch. What's really important is health. Can these guys get stay healthy?
Yeah.
I think Trey and Marshawn Williams will both have a big impact if they can stay healthy. But in the end, J.C. Coleman showed great stuff at the end of the year, as he was really our only running back. And so I think he'll have a good impact too.
Yeah, he'll do something, you know. Let's see. So football, first open scrimmage this Saturday, Saturday, April 4th. So we'll, as the public, get to see what we're working with so far. Hopefully we like what we see. It'll be a good scrimmage for us to see. Let's move on to baseball. So they've actually been doing extremely well. We're tied for second in the Coastal Division right now, and we could have been in second strong, or maybe even in first, had we swept FSU. And we were so close to doing it, beat them in the first game. The second 2 games were very close. we just lost it by a couple errors. So baseball is stronger than expected this season.
Yeah, we had 3 games against FSU, and we were this close to winning all of them. The first game we won on a big 7th inning where we scored 5 runs, and then the next 2 games we just lost on errors and small mistakes. So I think if we can really focus and come together as a team, we can improve down the stretch.
Definitely, and our baseball team, some of the players are out there setting records. Alex Perez started in his 200th consecutive game, which is the longest in the nation. So he's out there doing big things, starting in lots of games clearly, and making good plays in the game. So hopefully they'll finish out the season strong, keep it going. They're doing very well and just stay highly ranked within the division.
Yeah, this weekend we have 3 games against Georgia Tech, so I'm interested to see what we can do there and hopefully get some more ACC wins.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then over to softball. They started off the season so strong. We were ranked 24th for I think it was 2 weeks. They were really strong in all their games, and Florida State game came around. We gave up 3 games in the series, and then they went out to Notre Dame this past weekend and blew it again. So now we've dropped out of the rankings, and we're actually hosting ACCs here at Tech this year, and only the top 8 teams qualify, and right now we're in that 8th spot. So we kind of got to win out ACC to be able to remain there and actually play in the tournament this season.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, we're 24-9 overall, but only 3-8 in the ACC.
Yeah.
And those 3 games against Notre Dame were just embarrassing. I mean, we got totally pummeled, but we had a good win against Elon.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this weekend we can get our scoring back on track against Louisville.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to that doubleheader next Wednesday against UVA.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing is the midweek games don't count towards your conference. So UVA, we should definitely win it, but it won't help us in terms of our ACC ranking. So Louisville this weekend is definitely a big deal. We got game Friday and then doubleheader Saturday. So they need to at least win 2 of those 3 games to try to stay in there.
Absolutely.
And then tennis has been doing very well. The women beat number 6 Miami, and the men beat number 14 UNC, and they're actually ranked 16. So those teams are doing very well as well. All of our Hokie teams are kind of stepping up this spring.
Some real exciting stuff from Hokie sports right now.
Keeping us intrigued.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. Since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
The women's tennis team had an eventful weekend with wins on Saturday and Sunday. First, the Hokies took down VCU 6-1. Then they beat number 6 Miami 4-3. Jill Hurt was at the VCU match.
I'm here at the Burroughs Burleson Tennis Center where the Hokies just defeated VCU 6-1.
Number 47 Virginia Tech started strong in doubles with Caroline Dax-Hillay and Francesca Fucinato on court 2 claiming their match 8-6, and Sansitha Nandakumar and Elena Cerezo-Codina also winning 8-6 on court 3. Dax-Hillay and Fucinato were trailing VCU for most of the match but came back to win it by 2.
It was a great comeback and it was a lot of mental. So with the first 0, I said to her, okay, if we make this point for the 4-1, we're gonna win. And it was actually funny because it happened.
Nandakumar and Cerezo-Codina were up by a few points for most of their match until VCU got within only 2. But Tech was able to hold them off and claim the win.
We fight together
I mean, we stay in the court, we are one only, so it's very important to understand very good with your partner.
Virginia Tech earned their first overall point with the 2 doubles victories. The Hokies then dominated in singles, only allowing VCU 1 point, which was the only point they notched overall. Raluca Mida, Catherine Butler, Nanda Kumar, Fucinato, and Cerezo Codina got the W in each of their matches. Fucinato claimed the win in 2 sets, winning both 7-5. Both sets were a battle, but she pulled out the win each time.
The energy is key. If I keep my level of energy really high, then I can play more aggressive and I'm always on point.
Cerezo Codina also won in 2 sets. The first was a narrow win of 7-6, but she came out for the second set and dominated, winning 6-1.
And the second set, not different actually. I played the same, but I played very solid and to fight every point. That is very important.
Tech put on an impressive performance, improving to 11-5 on the season. With the win, the Hokies are now 3-0 against in-state opponents, with victories over Old Dominion and Radford under their belt as well.
They showed a lot of discipline and focus and fight, and very proud of that, and I think that's what helped us pull out the win today.
Reporting for VTTV, this is Jill Hurt.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Tech Total Access. Don't forget to tune in next week for more hard-hitting sports action. And as always, go Hokies!